Denny Hamlin dominates Martinsville, but was it a good race? Drivers' tempers flared because, of course, it's a short track. Plus, Fox showed a lady that looked like her poodle on the broadcast. Welcome back to Break Hard. I'm Matt. And if you're watching this and you're going, man, Matt, you look really hot and sweaty right now. That's because I am. There's tornado sirens going off. I was out walking the dog, collecting my thoughts after the race here to put this video together for all of you. And then the tornado sirens started going off, which in my county, they also put the sirens on for severe thunderstorms. So it's a real catch-22. Are we going to get, thunder lightning, or are we going to die? It's just a real toss-up at the moment. So for now, it's crossing the Indiana border. It'll get here and probably about the time I'm going to finish recording this video. So if I look sweaty, if I sound a little flustered, it's because of that. But for the most part, we're going to be all right. Let's get into today's race. Denny Hamlin dominated on Sunday at Martinsville, winning the Cookout 400 after leading 278 of 400 laps. That is domination in the Gen 7 era. That is very typical of spring Martinsville, where drivers would just go out and lead a couple hundred laps en route to victory. He did that, his first win at Martinsville since the spring of 2015, where I was actually in attendance to watch Jeff Gordon race at Martinsville one last time because I knew I couldn't make the fall race that year. So overall, Denny Hamlin, put it on him on Sunday. No other way around that. His new sponsor, Progressive, has to be super happy. He gets Chris Gale his first victory as his crew chief. 7 races into their tenure together, they're already in victory lane. Chris Gale obviously was the crew chief of Ty Gibbs last year, moves over to the 11 this year, and now he's in victory lane. His third career NASCAR Cup Series victory. His other 2 came with Eric Jones as well. But was this a good race? On TikTok, I gave this race a 78. And then I went out and I walked the dog and I thought about it a little bit more and I looked over the stats some, and I've decided that I'm going to rescind that 78 that I gave on TikTok and give this race a 67. I think 67. 67 sounds good. Mainly because it needs to be better. The short track package, NASCAR has made great strides. I said we, now people are going to be like, see, I told you NASCAR was paying him to do these videos. They're not. At least the check hasn't cleared for this month. So I say they're not. They're obviously not. I think they made great strides with this package, but I think there needs to be more done for it because the race, for the most part, outside of stages 1 and 2, wasn't that good. And what made stages 1 and 2 really entertaining is the fact that there were varying different tire strategies happening during those stages. So maybe we should bring the option tire to Martinsville. I know NASCAR said they don't want to run it anymore this year, but I think it could be pretty entertaining if they did it. So it'd be fun to see them at least try it at Martinsville. I know the fall race is going to be a little bit more difficult because it's the penultimate race of the championship, and I don't know if they want that helping decide who's going to Phoenix, the same way they don't want to, necessarily have that decide who wins the championship. But it's all part of strategy, right? I don't know. I think it would have made this race better. The race wasn't terrible, right? Denny Hamlin, of course, leading that many laps is certainly going to give this race a bad rating on the Jeff Gluck was it a good race poll, because 1, people hate Denny Hamlin, 2, people hate dominant victories at that. But the fastest car of the day won, which I think, for me, that's what I typically want to see. I don't want to see it get stolen away on a green-white checker or something like that. And the last 80-something laps of this race ended up going caution-free after it looked like it might devolve into the Xfinity Series race on Saturday night. Ultimately, that didn't end up happening. But the race started off with, a caution coming out pretty early on in stage number 1 because of a hose out on the racetrack. Josh Berry and a couple other cool kids from the Ford Club decided to stay out there. And for Berry, that got him out in clean air, and his car came to life when it was out front. Ultimately, he would end up hitting before the end of the stage. Joey Logano would end up stealing stage number 1. And under that caution at the end of the stage, or previous to that, before Joey Logano went out there and stole the stage and a couple lap shootout, Josh Berry on pit road comes out of his pit box. He's driving down pit road. Bubba Wallace launches from his box, hits the side of the 21, and then going down the backstretch, the 21 just turns off. Like the battery just died. And it's like, oh, wow, did the contact from the 23 cause that? The team says no, but a weird coincidence nonetheless. Either way, it just kind of ruined Josh Berry's day for the most part there. Before we talk about a little bit more of the actual race, Fox had some audio issues in stage number 1, and they just never fixed them throughout the rest of the race. We're talking about 350 more laps, and they were like, oh, we're just going to let these guys sound like they're in a tin can for the rest of the time. Some people said it happened last week at Miami. I didn't hear it, but definitely happened this week. One good thing from Fox, though, they did finally figure out how to put up an indicator on their scoring pylon of who has the fastest lap. And for all the race, it was Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin had the fastest lap of the day, but it only took them 7 weeks. They finally figured out how to do it, so hats off to them finally. They did miss a couple things throughout the day, like in stage number 2, Alex Bowman comes to pit road. He has an issue on pit road, goes from running the top 10 to being 32nd, just never mentioned it. They did mention that Ross Chastain, I have no idea where he came from. Well, that's because he took 2 tires, and that's how he gained all those spots and put himself up into contention at the end there, but fact checking is hard and getting information is hard at times. But Denny Hamlin would go on to win stage number 2, and that's really where he started to assert his dominance. We did have a couple tempers flare up during this race. We had Austin Cindric potentially, maybe intentionally wreck Riley Herbst. As you can see on the video here, the 2 cars going, you can watch the white dash lines. He drifts over to the right a little bit. Everybody else starts to turn into the corner. Cindric does not hit his mark turning into the corner. Has contact with the 35 of Herbst. Wasn't as egregious as what he did to Ty Dillon at Coda, but it still is open for interpretation. I'm going to say, I think he's got a bit of a reputation about him at this point. He had a really bad day. Team Penske ran out of batteries to put in the 2 cars. Literally ran out of batteries. Never heard that happen before, but it happened to Austin Cindric on Sunday. We also had Ty Gibbs get into it with Joey Logano under caution. They were like Italians exchanging hand gestures there. Ty Gibbs got into it with Tyler Reddick after Reddick spun him out in stage number 3. Said, keep me away from that little effer at the end of the race, which is hilarious because they're about the same size, which is small. And NASCAR security could just pick both of them up by the back of their fire suits, sit them in the kiddie chairs in the NASCAR hauler and be like, wait until Elton comes and talks to you. And they're both adult men. One of them is married and has children, but I thought that was just funny. Ty Gibbs was also in a fight with his cool suit all day as well. Cool suits just fail. And he said, I feel like they just designed these to fail and make drivers miserable, which at this point, it sounds like they fail a lot. But at the same time, nobody ever talks about how great the cool suit is when it works. So we only ever really hear about them when they fail. So maybe that's just why it skews it, makes it seem like that's what's happening there. We had a near collaboration of A&W Root Beer Stand and El Paso Taco. Those two came together. Noah Gragson spins. Chris Buescher had a bad day for the most part. He spins on the front stretch early in the race, spins or as involved in this contact here. I did find out this week, thanks to the RFK Racing Twitter account, that El Paso Tacos has a Cinnamon Toast Crunch Taco. Seems like a great way to get diabetes, but I also want to try it at the same time. So maybe I'll run down to Kroger and pick it up. Just be a real RFK sponsor trip whenever I go for it. SVG lost a rear wheel during this race, so somebody on his team is going to get a 2-week vacation. I wonder at times if Trackhouse and SVG kind of wish they left him down the Xfinity Series for another year, just for ovals, because his average finish right now on ovals is like 30th. But I think one of my biggest takeaways from this race is the fact that we have the softer tire, like what they ran at Martinsville last fall, ran at the Clash earlier this year at Bowman Gray Stadium, and now ran it again here. It does wear, it lays down a lot of rubber. We saw the sides of these cars get just absolutely caked in rubber, and that's what we want to see, right? We want a tire that wears, but the fall off doesn't seem to be that dramatic. You can nurse these tires for 150, maybe even 200 laps if you really wanted to. The other downside is it doesn't seem like fresh tires make that much of a difference. Chase Elliott was on fresher tires in stage 2, and he could just never catch up to Denny Hamlin and catch him and pass him. He caught up to him, kind of, thanks to traffic as well, but could never pass him. Then at the end of the race, you have Joey Logano on like 42 lap old fresher tires. He's managed just to get up in the top 10, his first top 10 finish of the year. So that's great for him. After leading all these laps, he finally gets a top 10 on the day. But it never felt like fresh tires were that much of a benefit, or at least not enough to warrant maybe stopping and getting fresh tires and then driving your way up through the field. An option tire certainly could have made it more interesting. I think that would have been really fun, but it felt like it was missing something. And again, it wasn't a bad race necessarily. By Gen 7 standards at Martinsville, specifically Gen 7 at Martinsville, this was the second best one that we've had. Last fall, Martinsville was really, really good. You had Ryan Blaney make that late charge. You had the drama of the playoff. You had the blockade that was running there, but you had multiple different leaders. And I don't know if it's because that race, was more into night. The tensions were a little bit higher. People were more aggressive. I'm not 100% sure there. Spring Martinsville always seems to have the type of race that we saw on Sunday. Just kind of feels like that's the form, that's the mold that it fits into, and that's kind of what we get every single year. We tried running at night, and it didn't work out too well. Tried a midweek race during COVID, didn't work out too well. I'm not sure what we could do to make this race better, but I think there's a softer tire option that maybe is worth exploring. So that's the only reason why I'm a little bit down on this race, is because I would like to see some more fall off on that tire and maybe could help create some more passing throughout the field. There was good battles. I think stage number 1 and 2 were the best of the day because there were those varying different tire strategies, like I said, and it made passing a tick easier. It's still difficult. It's always been hard to pass at Martinsville, let me say that, but it certainly has been at a premium during the Gen 7 era as well. So overall, I thought the race was okay. It's certainly not a memorable race. I'm not riding home from it. It's not the best race that we've seen this year by any means, but not every race is going to be a banger, right? And I think that's where I take some solace in. Sirens are going off again over here. Not great. Might have to wrap this up somewhat soon here. But I know every race is going to be a banger, and what we saw wasn't bad. It just wasn't great. So it's fine. It's white bread. It's totally fine. It's the Mendoza line. It's the Andy Dalton of races. Not exciting. Not terrible. You know what you're kind of going to get. And it's never going to be award-winning, championship-winning, but it's fine. You can sit down and watch it for a season. And that's what this race was. So I'm not going to get too up in arms about it. Denny Hamlin got out of the car after the race and held up this 11 against the world sign, which he stole from Ohio against the world because Ohio State fans always have to think that they're the underdog and they have to have some sort of adversary out there like they're Hayden Deegan. Now he's adopted that because his friends are Ohio State fans or something. And I thought it was really cringy. As a person that is from Cincinnati and lives in Cincinnati, I hate Ohio State. So I actually don't have a problem with people hating Denny Hamlin because of this Ohio State connection, because, yeah, I think it's really cringy as well here. But overall, the race was fine. We saw the tempers flare up. Joey Logano wasn't happy with Ross Chastain after the race, said that he, always races like a jackass. And Joey said he's tired of paying the price for Chastain racing like that. I think there might still be something to happen there amongst those two, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Then we had some real curious moments on the Fox broadcast. We learned that Artie Kempner still is with Fox. There wasn't a formal announcement that he had left Fox, but we do know that he is joining ESPN to be the director of Monday Night Football this year, when we get to the fall. It sounds like he's going to be finishing out the Fox portion of the NASCAR schedule and then be making his move over there. Which is unfortunate because I think that the Fox broadcast could really benefit from having a new director, a fresh view on the race, and hopefully we get that for 2026 at this point. But we did have a shot of a lady standing next to a golf cart with her poodle, where they shared the same haircut, essentially. They say that some couples end up looking like each other over time, like man and woman, man and man, woman and woman, whatever. I think you can say the same for pets too, because this lady and this dog had the same haircut, which in the 80s I'm sure was super hot, but now they just look kind of ridiculous, and it's not even Halloween either. So that was perplexing. Then they showed us a side-by-side of two dudes who maybe were related. I don't think they were related. Maybe related in the Bill Burr, Billy Corgan type of situation, but nonetheless, I perplexed by that one. We got some shots of some Chase Elliott fans stuffing their faces with peanuts, shots of kids again, just a real family-friendly sport. But some of the pictures that we saw today, I'm just like, why are we watching? There's also an older man in a full Chase Elliott mock fire suit in the grandstands, pointing. My favorite thing at the racetrack, whenever I sit in the grandstands, are watching the people point the drivers on at an oval. This way. Yeah. Headed down to that left turn like we have been for the last 77 years. Or, yeah, something like that. 77. Yeah, so I don't know. It was Martinsville. It was fine. The broadcast, can always improve because it's Fox. But overall, the race, gave it a 68. Can definitely be better. Not the worst thing we've ever seen by Martinsville Gen 7 standards. So I'm interested to hear what everybody else has to say about it as well. Honorable mentions. Obviously, Denny Hamlin wins the race. You have Christopher Bell in second, Bubba Wallace, and his crew chief, Charles Denike. I had no idea that's how you pronounce his name. I've been over here calling him Charles Denicky like a moron for like the last 6 months. So great to hear that. They're off to a really hot start. They're going to win races this year. I think they are going to be multiple race winners this year. And then we had Joey Logano got his first top 10 of the year. Great run by him. Ryan Preece continues to get top 10s. Shout out to him. He got a P7 finish. And then Todd Gilliland, a top 10 finish for he and that Front Row Motorsport teams. One of my bold predictions to start the year was that a Front Row Motorsport car was going to win this year. I think that still holds true. One of those guys is going to get their first victory of the season. And we had Ty Gibbs not finish in the 20s or the 30s. For once, finishing the teens, 13th place finish for Ty Gibbs on Sunday. So let me know in the comments what you thought about this race, whether or not it was a good race. Give me your rating as well. Denny Hamlin dominated. Tempers are flaring. What you think about the Austin Cindric situation, the Fox direction on the broadcast. A little perplexing there. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok at BreakHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at BreakHard.